time it is, man. It's your boy, Grown Man Business TV. You feel what I'm saying? Now listen, man, you could tap in or you could tap out, but you know my slogan. You know what I suggest. And I suggest you tap in, so let's get right into it. Now listen, man, time and energy are the highest forms of currency, my G. I know they got you out here chasing the bag, chasing that money, chasing that moolah, stacking that cheese, that cheddar, and that mozzarella. But always keep it in the front of your mental Rolodex that time, energy are the highest forms of currency, my G's, at all times. It is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. Big salute to all my day one investors, everybody that's highly invested in the channel, everybody that understands that we are growing this channel organically, constant elevation. We are on our way to the top, well over 40,000 subscribers, and we are on our way to 50K officially. You understand what I'm saying? Even bigger salute to all my newcomers, all my new subscribers, all my new investors, everybody that's making their way to the Realest channel on YouTube, Grown Man Business TV. Listen, man, I carved out a lane for the real, and I'm the only one in this lane. You understand me? And if you merge into this lane, we gonna crash out. Absolutely. So listen, man, do me a favor. Do me a huge my bad. Do me a huge favor. You understand me? Wipe your feet off before you walk into the big house. Wipe off your feet before you walk into the big house. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notification bells are ringing every time we go live right here at Grown Man Business TV. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. FBA Kush Boy 420. I see you in the building. Big wrenches, big salute. You know what I mean? Now, on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday, you know, it's gonna be more of a lecture. This is gonna be like a college course. This is gonna be history class. You understand what I'm saying? Because I got a lot of people in the DM, and big salute to those people. Big salute to all my new investors and my new subscribers, especially my Caucasian counterparts that are in the DM wanting to know more. You understand what I'm saying? Wanting more information. You understand? You know, you got to know something, man. One thing for sure, two things for certain. Pure dope is going to sell itself. When it's pure dope, straight off the brick into the bottles, I ain't got to put no price tag on it. I ain't got to do no commercials. It's going to sell itself. And it's a lot of people in the DM that are curious and they want more. You know, they want me to expand on separation and segregation and why it is the keystone to the forward progression of America, to the elimination of racism, why segregation, why being separated is the key. It's the cornerstone. It's the absolute solution to racism as we know it in America. And you know, one thing for sure, two things for certain. You got to know, man, I got a lot of people in the DM that are combative. They are defensive. They feel a way about a black man, looking them right in their eyes, giving them that pure dope and telling them exactly what is needed. And then you got a lot of Caucasian people that are curious, that want more, that kind of agrees with what I'm saying, but want me to elaborate on it. So I said, you know what, this Saturday, man, I normally turn up on a Saturday. You know, I normally, you know how we give it up over here at Grown Man Business TV. You know what I'm saying? We relax. We like to kick the bobo. We like to do our thing on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. But the downloads are downloading, and the downloads let me know that let's educate today. Let's get a little bit deeper into, you know, separation. You know, the mother nature, what's natural. What we are being deprived of. Let me go a little bit deeper into that. So big salute to the chat. You know, we gonna do what we do best over here. Before we get into this information, because you already know the higher ups and the elites don't like me talking about this. They don't like me giving you this pure dope straight off the brick into the bottles. They don't like this revolutionary talk. We gotta customize the chat, man. So before we get into this situation, you know, let me customize the chat, understanding that the higher ups and the elites are going to shadow ban the message. They're going to muffle the message. They're going to do anything in their nature and in their power to stop this kind of information. Yeah, you get the sexy red, you get the Glorillas, you got everybody talking about Kenyon Martin, you got everybody talking about Nick Young, you got everybody talking about Brick Baby. But when this pure dope is put in front of you, the higher ups and the elites, they feel a way about that. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. And I mean, let me do some customizations to the chat. Big salute to everybody. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, man. We're going to have a pretty decent talk today. You already know how we give it up. You know what I mean? Bam, there it is. Right there at the bottom of the chat. You see that. Listen, man, before you get into the comment section with your Twitter fingers doing your Twitter fingering and leaving comments with your Twitter fingers and your Twitter fingering and all that with your Twitter fingers, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you are locked into the Realest channel on YouTube, Grown Man Business TV. And listen, man, if not, that's cool. Get in the back of the class, close your mouth and open your ears and prepare yourself for the purest dope on YouTube. I'm talking straight off the brick into the bottles. Make sure you do that, man. Don't waste no time. Hit the like button and the subscribe button as soon as you come in here. We are approaching 42,000 subscribers. Well on our way to 50K. All right, now, like I said, man, before we got into this situation, I needed to do what I needed to do. You had Tupac Shakur, a rapper, a actor, a celebrity, you know, a puppet working for the Geppetto, preaching thug life, telling us to rally the soldiers, telling us to rally the troops. He got assassinated. He went about it the wrong way. You understand what I'm saying? Next up, we got Nipsey Hussle. You know, 20 years, 25 years later, we got Nipsey Hussle in his prime, telling us to cut out the middleman, telling us F the middleman, telling us to own everything. It's all about ownership. He got assassinated. And what a lot of people don't understand is these things have a common denominator. There is no community protecting our leaders. So now you got Grown Man Business TV. You got a black man standing on black business. You got a black man, a heterosexual man. No home, none of that funny business. None of that 1, 2, 3 ABC community business. I'm talking a full-fledged black man, head of his household, talking about what's best for the community. But I'm not a puppet. I'm not taking the same avenues that Tupac Shakur took and Nipsey Hussle. I don't feel the need to get in bed with the higher ups and the elites to get my message across. I feel like doing this organically, I don't have to attach myself to the higher ups and the elites to get my message across. Pure dope will sell itself. But yeah, now we got me, Grown Man Business TV. And the way I'm talking to you, the game that I'm giving you, it's exciting the riot. It's exciting the masses. It's a lot of people that's reaching out to me. They feeling some type of way. They used to talking to Saucy Santana. They used to talking to Little Nas X. They used to dealing with the ABC 1, 2, 3 community. You know, the Rainbow Coalition and all of that. They not used to a real man, a black man, looking you in your face and telling you what it is. And not only telling you what it is, but giving you the solution to the problem. They don't mind you talking about this. They don't really mind you coming out here preaching like Martin Luther King and all of that. But as soon as you start giving up a solution, that's where the issue coming at. All right? So we're going to break this thing down. I want you to understand that I talk about all different type of topics. We're going to talk about celebrities. We're going to talk about all of this. We're going to talk about everything. But one thing for sure, two things for certain, this is a revolutionary mind state that you're listening to. This is a revolutionary tongue that's talking to you. Yeah, I can move the crowd, homie. I influence the masses because I'm not your everyday black man up here talking about death and destruction and confusion in the community. Yeah, we're going to stand on this business. Now, the title of this, Martin Luther King Jr. was an industry and a government plant. Martin Luther King Jr. was not who we thought he was. He was put into the community. He was infiltrated. Martin Luther King had pure intentions in the beginning, and then he was compromised by the higher ups and the elites. He was infiltrated. But one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about is the black communities that funded Martin Luther King before the higher ups and the elites and the government got their hands on him. This is one thing that I never hear them talk about on Martin Luther King's birthday, on Martin Luther King Day, the federal day that we all celebrate when we don't got to go to work in certain states. They never talk about the influential black communities that funded Martin Luther King. You know, this is going to segue me into segregation and separation and why it is needed, why it is the absolute cornerstone to eliminate all of these things that are taking place in America. It was an influential, it was a highly successful black community, black owned community, black owned houses, black owned buildings, black owned everything that funded Martin Luther King. They funded Martin Luther King because in the beginning, Martin Luther King was talking about, you know, equal rights. You understand? It was never about integration. That's not what Martin Luther King was running on. That is not how he influenced and sucked in the black people to fund his war. It was about equal rights. All we wanted was equal rights. We wanted the opportunity to build our communities, build our areas. You understand what I'm saying? Teach our children in our schools, run our cities and our communities. The same way Chinatown does, the same way Little Italy, Little Haiti, you know, all these different, you know, Spanish Harlem, all these different areas for these different race of people. We wanted that same opportunity with equal rights. Okay? In due time, the higher ups and the elites understood exactly what made Martin Luther King such a powerful man. It wasn't Martin Luther King. It was the black communities that was behind Martin Luther King that was funding Martin Luther King. That was the power. That's what funded the dream. That's what fueled the motivation. And when the higher ups and the elites understood that, they attacked that. All right? Now, one thing for sure, two things for certain. You already know here at Grown Man Business TV, we keep the receipts. This not going to be a long, drawn out live stream. Because we're going to get into some fun topics. We're going to get into, you know, some celebrity, whatever that stuff is. But this going to be a beautiful history lesson for a lot of my Caucasian counterparts that don't remember what black people was, or y'all were never taught what we were before public assistance, before project buildings. Y'all don't really know because your parents and your schools don't teach you exactly what we were. They don't teach y'all the truth. They make y'all think we were just slaves and now we use government assistance and Section 8 and project buildings and food stamps. They got y'all brainwashed. So y'all come into my DM and y'all think y'all know, or y'all are curious to know. And one thing for sure, two things for certain, I'm going to put it in your face, homie. I want you to understand exactly what you're looking at. I want you to understand exactly the descendants that we are, who we come from, what we come from, what your ancestors feared in us, why your ancestors, your great-grandfather, your grandfather, your daddy, what those white men really feared when it came to us. So I appreciate the DMs because I'm going to give you the receipts. I'm going to show you the receipts. And these receipts will certify and make it legitimate why reparations are owed to black people. Yeah, my people. We ain't asking for no handouts. The money is owed to us. And if we ever get in the mind state to fight fire with fire, y'all gonna have a problem. All right? So let's start right here with this receipt. Big salute to the chat. Well over 200 people in here. Let's start right here. I'm gonna let Charleston White just give y'all a synopsis in a quick context on what the mind state was for black people when Martin Luther King came about. You know, Martin Luther King was funded by very highly educated, highly smart, entrepreneurial black people that owned everything in their community. And then he became compromised. Like every other celebrity, like every other puppet for the higher ups and the elites, they put y'all in a compromised position. They put y'all in a position that you can't get out of. And they keep the receipts. That's why here at Grown Man Business TV, we keep the receipts, because the higher ups and the elites always seem to keep the receipts when it come to y'all. So, you know, Charleston White says a lot of outlandish things, but it's always a message in the madness. It's always a message in the madness. And if you can get past all the madness of Charleston White, it's a big message in a lot of the things he say. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, man. Well over 200 people in this chat. Run them likes up, man. Stop playing. All right, let's listen to this first receipt and we gonna double back. Big salute to the chat.
Dr. King didn't know what he was doing, homie. He was a 25-year-old Southern Baptist preacher that had a bunch of people telling him this. Now, always remember, he wasn't popular with that belief in the beginning. They thought he was crazy. What the fuck wrong with you, nigga? You're a troublemaker. And even the old black people thought he was crazy. Why would you want to go eat at their restaurants? You know how they go do it. Yeah. They go spit in our food. Why you want to go over there, nigga? You crazy. We don't want to live next door to white people, nigga. You know white folk kill us. So they thought he was crazy. That was his dream. That wasn't for us. We wasn't supposed to be paying him no goddamn mind. That was his dream. I have a dream that one day we would hold hand. He wanted to hold white folk hand. Black folks didn't want to do that. They gave us him. They picked him. So he pushed the narrative, not knowing the consequences. Toward the end of his life, he told Harold Belafonte, I think I led my people into a burning building. We shouldn't have never, we was getting hit upside our head, homie, just to sit. Dr. King didn't know what he was doing, homie. He was a 25-year-old Southern Baptist preacher that had a bunch of people telling him this. Now, always remember, he wasn't popular with that belief in the beginning. They thought he was crazy. What the fuck wrong with you, nigga? You're a troublemaker. And even the old black people thought he was crazy. Why would you want to go eat at their restaurants? You know how they go do it. Yeah. They go spit in our food. Why you want to go over there, nigga? You crazy. We don't want to live next door to white people, nigga. You know white folk kill us. So they thought he was crazy. That was his dream. That wasn't for us. We wasn't supposed to be paying him no goddamn mind. That was his dream. I have a dream that one day we would hold hand. He wanted to hold white folk hand. Black folks didn't want to do that. They gave us him. They picked him. So he pushed the narrative, not knowing the consequences. Toward the end of his life, he told Harold Belafonte, I think I led my people into a burning building. We shouldn't have never, we was getting hit upside our head, homie, just to sit. Dr. King.
Now, big salute to the chat, run them likes up. You know, Charleston White said a mouthful right there. He said a lot. He said a lot, and it's the truth. Being as though I come from the South, right? My ancestors, you know, my forefathers, we all come from the South, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. You know, we come from the South. These are things that I heard when I was a young man. You know, I was taught these things outside of school. You know, one thing for sure, two things for certain, man. I don't care what your elders are going through. We should never disown our elders because they might be an alcoholic, or they might have a problem, or they might be on drugs, or they might not be in a good place in their life. The elders have the knowledge. And I always was one of those youngsters that, even though he smelled like alcohol, even though he smelled like liquor, right, I would listen to certain things that he was saying. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a whole nother live stream. But my elders always told me that they didn't want to go and eat with white people. They never wanted to fight to be in the same diners with Caucasian people. That was something nobody vouched for. That's when Martin Luther King lost the funding of real black people. He lost that funding, but the government had already came in. The government was already, you know, funding the tour. They was funding the speeches. They were funding the white women that Martin Luther King was sleeping with when his wife Coretta was at the house with the babies and all that. You understand what I'm saying? Martin Luther King, to me, is not a role model. And all of the real men in the community, they didn't look at Martin like that after a certain point. You understand what I'm saying? You know, at the end of Martin Luther King's life, his last speech, he said that, you know, he was in bed with the government. There was some money that was supposed to be given to black people. They ended up giving it to all these other nationalities and races and left us out. And he regrets that he led his people into a burning building. That burning building was integration. The name on that building that he led black people into was called integration. He led us into a building called integration that was on fire and it was about to burn down to the ground. You understand what I'm saying? I would get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deep. When you scratch the surface, it's always deeper than rap. It's always deeper than rap. So Martin Luther King was he was a man that was disloyal to his own wife. The higher ups and the elites understood that. Martin Luther King was a man that would go to other states and lay down and roll around with that lice-infested dog fur. Yeah, that dog fur got lice, it got fleas, all of that. Martin Luther King was a man that would lay down with that. You lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. Yeah, that's something they used to tell me back in the day as well. You lay down with dogs and you get up with fleas. Oh, Martin Luther King had fleas all over him. You understand what I'm saying? It's a reason why Martin Luther King has a federal day and Malcolm X doesn't. Now, you got to understand that the same way LeBron James, the same way these rappers and these ball players and these celebrities are put in front of you and used to influence the masses, used to influence the urban community to do whatever they want you to do, is the same thing that was done with Martin Luther King. He was one of the first. He was one of the first that the higher up saw and said, this young black man has a heavy influence over his community. Let's get our hands on him. Let's sink our teeth into him. Send some white girls at him. Send that dog fur at him. Now, after Martin Luther King, after his treason was complete, after he led his community into the burning house of integration, now eminent domain sets in. Now a lot of black people, a lot of people in the whole realize what happened. But the thing is, I tell y'all all the time, when you pay attention to the double cross, you get hit with the triple cross. Never pay attention to the double cross, because when the triple cross comes, it's too late. It's too late. So a lot of people fell for the double cross of Martin Luther King. And then when the triple cross came, it was too late. Eminent domain. Now we're going to have some fun. Now we're going to have some fun, because not even after Martin Luther King, even before Martin Luther King, way before Martin Luther King, you understand, these things were happening where hundreds of black towns were being demolished. They were being stolen. They were being swamped. They were being turned into lakes, turned into parks. They were being taken from black people, whole communities. This is where it gets deep at. Because even before Martin Luther King, these things was happening. And they used Martin Luther King to make a lot of black people feel comfortable with integration. Integration. We want to eat at your restaurants. We want to eat that poorly seasoned chicken. We want to eat that nasty apple pie. Yeah, a lot of we don't like apple pie. We don't eat cherry pie. We rather sweet potato pie. We don't really want your pumpkin pie. We give us the sweet potatoes, right? The reason why that influence had to be shadowed over black people is to overshadow the fact that our wealth had been stolen from us. What do you mean by that, G and BTV? Like, you know, when you say the wealth was stolen, what do you mean by that? Well, I got the receipts. We had towns. We had hundreds of black towns in the early 1900s. Between 1900 and 1915 to 1920. We had small towns that by now would be metropolis. Small towns that we had started building from nothing. Over 85% of black people was married in these small towns. We owned all the single family homes. We owned all the property, all the theaters. Oh, and we were accelerating at a tremendous rate. We were accelerating at a rate so fast, white people started to get jealous. Our Caucasian counterparts began to get jealous at our evolution, at our elevation. And here we go. Now, to all my white subscribers, to all my Caucasian counterparts, here's where it gets deep. Because I know a lot of y'all in my DM and y'all was saying, well, you know, Martin Luther King chose to lay down with the dog fur. He chose to take the money from the government. He had a choice in the matter. And you're exactly right about that. That's why I'm holding Martin Luther King accountable. Yeah, I'm a black man that's going to hold everybody accountable. But in this situation that I'm about to introduce you to, in these situations that your ancestors chose to hide from you, I'm going to move the smoke and mirrors, and I'm going to show you the wealth that was stolen, and we had no choice in the matter. This is where it gets deep at. Now, let's get into a couple of receipts. Well over 500 to 600 people in the live chat. Run them likes up, man. I need 100 likes in here. To my wrenches, put the Cash App in the chat. $GMBTV 101. You want to send something, make sure you send it to the Cash App. $GMBTV 101. We are cutting out the middleman. Word to Nip Hustle. Word to Nipsey Hustle. We are no longer. We're going to come on this platform. I'm going to give up this game right on their platform. I'm going to give up this game, pure dope, straight off the brick into the bottles, right in front of the higher-ups and the elites. And I'm going to make them watch this. I'm going to make them pay for this. Well over 600 in the chat. Run them likes up to 100. Now, open your ears and close your mouth, or close your mouth and open your ears. Big salute to the chat, man. Let's listen. History. Give y'all a history lesson. All right? Let's listen now. Big salute to the chat. FBA Kush Boy 420, I see you in here. Yeah, we in here right now. This is where it gets real at. Run them likes up.
To truly understand what led to the drowning of these black cities, we must first know what they represented: resilience, innovation, and hope. After the Civil War, when the slaves became free, black Americans found themselves in a tight situation. Freedom had been declared, but equality was far from reality. Many former slaves and their descendants sought refuge in building their community where they could excel and be free from the oppression of the whites. From the late 19th century to the early 20th century, these black communities had made significant progress. Some towns like Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is popularly known as Black Wall Street, and Eatonville, Florida, rose as beacons of success. Beyond being residential settlements, they were centers of innovation. Schools were established, businesses prospered, and black Americans proved that they could achieve greatness despite the odds stacked against them and the challenges that dropped their back to the ground.
Check this out.
Ooh. Now you already know how YouTube going to do, but we going to get back into that. I don't mind them doing that. Cut it off. Eaton, Florida. Rosewood, Black Wall Street. These were beacons of hope, and they were epicenters for innovation. This is not my words. This is what this man is telling you. You understand what I'm saying? Innovation. We were creating, we were building. It get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deeper than rap. You understand now? This is the part, these things right here. Yeah. Big salute to Rosewood. Eton, Florida. The Florida Seminoles are our people. They don't look like the pictures that they show y'all. The Seminoles were black people. You hear that thunder? That's the ancestors. That's the ancestors. That's the downloads downloading. I could be talking to y'all about anything right now, but I follow the downloads. And the downloads are making me and want me to expose to y'all. Oh, we didn't ask for no handouts, homie. We were building innovation. We had metropolises on our hands. Now let's let them talk a little bit more. It get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deeper than rap for my Caucasian counterparts. Your great-grandfather didn't tell you how jealous they was of my great-grandfather. Your great-grandparents hid this history from y'all. Oh, it's gonna get deeper than that. Big salute to the chat. Run the lights up.
Not just pass by like the wind, it attracted the interest of the whites and it became a threat. White neighbors became envious, and a deeply ingrained belief in black inferiority and a growing resentment. How could a people they once enslaved now exceed them in wealth, education, and influence? Like the wind, it attracted the interest of the whites and it became a threat. Attracted the interest of the whites and it became a threat. Attracted the interest of the whites and it became a threat. White neighbors became envious, and a deeply ingrained belief in black inferiority and a growing resentment. How could a people they once enslaved now exceed them in wealth, education, and influence? Systemic racism became a lifestyle. The same government that promised freedom and justice for the people began to create laws and policies designed to frustrate the progress of blacks. Jim Crow laws promoted segregation and denied black citizens of their fundamental rights. These policies ensured black families couldn't buy homes in prosperous neighborhoods, sidelining them from wealth-building opportunities. Despite these barriers, black communities continued to progress. During the early 1900s, many of these towns were entirely independent. Banks owned by blacks, schools, hospitals, and churches provided everything their residents needed.
Now I want to stop right there, right? He just said some very, very important information. The elevation of the black community attracted the attention of Caucasians, your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers, and they were jealous. These are the exact words he used verbatim. They became jealous. How could a people that we were enslaving surpass us in innovation, in wealth, in health, in every category necessary? We had already exceeded and surpassed your peoples. So instead of Caucasian people saying, yo, how can we learn from y'all? Let's work together. Let's build this great country. They begin to become jealous and envious. And we all know that's a dangerous man. A jealous man, an envious man is a dangerous man. Now, something else that he said right there, which I'm going to play this receipt one more time, is that these black communities had become self-sufficient. You know, I'm saying all of this for all the white people in my DM that says we were always on government assistance and we were always on, food stamps and we want handouts and why do we want reparations and blah, 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 blah. For all of y'all that were lied to by your own people, There was a time where there was no government assistance. It was a time in the early 1900s where there was no food stamps. And this man just told y'all that black communities all over America had literally become self-sufficient. What does that mean, GMBTV, when you say self-sufficient? Well, the narrator, he said, we owned the schools, we owned the grocery stores, we owned the banks, federal currency, banks, we own them. You don't see any. Do you know any black owned banks? It's rare that you run across a black owned bank now. But in the early 1900s, when we had way less funding, way less money, we had self-sufficient communities. I mean, it's beautiful to hear. For me, it's some sort of liberation. I get a feeling and I get downloads from the ancestors when I even speak about this, because this is not what they teach in these schools. They don't want you, even the Caucasian, even you, white people, they don't want you to know that at a certain time in American history, we had literally surpassed y'all. We had literally surpassed y'all. We took nothing and made more than what y'all had. Literally. All the way to the point where y'all became jealous, envious. All right, so I'm gonna run this back one more time because it's a beautiful thing. And you gotta know something, man. The channel has grown to a point where I'm not going to respond to every DM. I'm not going to respond to every set of Twitter fingers that's twittering and doing what they doing with the Twitter fingers. I'm just going to give you the dope. I'm going to put it right here for you to come get it. You could put it in your pipe and smoke it. Big salute to the chat, man. Big salute to the chat. And I'm going to get a little bit deeper into this because, I'm disgusted, man, at the way and how far gone we are as a people. I'm disgusted. You got 50 Cent and Benzino. You got a successful puppet like 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, with all that influence and all that money and all these accolades, got worried about if Benzino, a 60-year-old man, is a rat or not. Imagine if we was taken seriously like these grown men right here, like back in the day. Imagine if we had millionaires that were actually serious, that were actually men, like we did back in the early 1900s. Grown-ass men talking about who's a rat and who's not. I'm talking a millionaire, multi-millionaire. Down there, come on, we gonna get into that as well. But it's absolutely nasty work. These are the men that these spirits need to get back. They need to come back and reincarnate. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. Listen, open your ears, close your mouth, hit the like button.
The ground. But their success did not just pass by like the wind. It attracted the interest of the whites, and it became a threat. White neighbors became envious, and a deeply ingrained belief in black inferiority and a growing resentment. How could a people they once enslaved now exceed them in wealth, education, and influence? Systemic racism became a lifestyle. The same government that promised freedom and justice for the people began to create laws and policies designed to frustrate the progress of blacks. Jim Crow laws promoted segregation and denied black citizens of their fundamental rights. These policies ensured black families couldn't buy homes in prosperous neighborhoods, sidelining them from wealth-building opportunities. Despite these barriers, black communities continued to progress. During the early 1900s, many of these towns were entirely independent. Banks owned by blacks, schools, hospitals, and churches provided everything their residents needed. But their prosperity came at a dangerous cost. They became targets. White supremacists unleashed acts of violence, and entire towns were burned to the ground during race massacres. As if the violence wasn't enough, they employed a new measure of destruction, one that disguised to be progress. Infrastructure projects like dams, reservoirs, and lakes became tools of oppression. Under the pretense of public good, governments declared eminent domain that forced black families off their land. These communities that were built on dreams and hard work were drowned and erased from the map and memory of people.
Whew. It's a powerful message today. A powerful message in education for my people that might not know about this, and for the majority of Caucasian, my Caucasian counterparts, white people that don't know about this. So literally, your great grandfathers and his homies, they were so jealous of our elevation that they violently invaded these towns, massacre. I mean, they literally were killing black people for no reason other than us being smarter, us being better, us being more innovative. You understand? And the thing is, this is the history they don't want us to talk about. It's disgusting history. But the beautiful thing is, you can't stop what I teach my children. You can't stop the message I give to my subscribers. You can't stop that. And I'm gonna talk more about that later on in the live stream. But white people like Shiloh Hendricks, the white woman that said what she said to that 5-year-old child in that park, she's teaching her children hatred. So why shouldn't I teach my children simply teaching their history? All right. So after these raids of black communities, right? After these violent raids on American soil, white men, white people raiding black counties and black communities and literally massacring and fighting and stealing and taking and destroying these communities. After they did that, the higher ups in the elites, the government, they introduced something called eminent domain. Eminent domain, which means after we destroy your community, we'll come in and we'll say, hey, no worries. You guys can go move somewhere else, and we'll take this land and we'll make a park out of it. We'll make a lake. We can go fishing and, we can have picnics. Lake Lanier is a popular lake that people found out was Oscarville, is Oscar County or Oscarville, that was a black community that is under Lake Lanier. So, really think about this. Think about how deep this is. Now, for all the white people in my DM that's saying, yo, government assistance, project buildings, you guys are on welfare, blah, 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 blah. What you got to understand is your ancestors destroyed our communities, burned down every building, and then said, hey, you guys can go live in these project buildings since you have nowhere else to go. Oh, we got these projects that we're building, government funding projects where you can go and live. You can go live. Make sure that there's no man in the house. Your husbands can't come, but you can go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we don't want you to live in our communities, even though we burned down your community. Yeah, it's called redlining. Yeah. We're going to make sure that you guys are denied loans, so you can't. Come on, man. I'm going to tell you something before we go any further. The downloads are downloading in the war general in me. It's hard to suppress that, because deep down subconsciously I understand that reparations really ain't even enough. We ask for reparations. Y'all don't even want to Y'all don't even want to be held accountable and pay for the sins of your ancestors with reparations. But really, the money ain't enough. Really, it should be we should be eliminating, because I want to use my words very carefully. We should be eliminating man, woman, and child with that dog fur. We should be tapping into the Nat Turner in all of us. And the crazy thing about that is you know it and your ancestors know it. That's another reason why y'all fear black people, is because y'all fear retribution. Y'all know deep down inside y'all deserve payback for what happened on American soil. Y'all deserve payback. So when black people say, why did the police shoot you? Or why is this happening? Or why is that happening? Because ingrained in their DNA, their ancestors are downloading the information and saying, y'all better be aware of these people. We have done so much harm and caused so much destruction to black people on American soil. You actually deserve payback, retribution. Something, they should be raiding your houses. They should be raping your woman. I mean, the same thing we did to black people, they should be doing to you. They should be feeding bait. They should be doing, the payback is almost mandatory. But understanding where we come from as black people, understanding we don't need no beef. All we need is our plot of land, and we will turn that into a metropolis. We ain't gonna do to y'all what y'all did to us until there's no other option. Oh yeah, it starts to rain when I talk like this. It starts to thunder when I talk like this. Now, eminent domain. We're gonna go through one more receipt. I want to play one more receipt, and then we're just gonna really just home in and dig in to what we talking about. Eminent domain. That right there was the last play, the last ploy to officially force black people into integration. You got to know, I'm gonna get into this receipt. When you really sit back and you look and you analyze Caucasian people, white people, right? It's very bipolar. It's very confusing. Because you say to yourself, y'all don't like us to live around y'all. Y'all don't want us in your schools. Y'all don't want us in your neighborhood. Y'all don't want us around y'all. But y'all don't want us to live and thrive on our own either. So y'all don't really know what y'all want, because what y'all want is absolutely asinine. Y'all don't know if y'all want to live with us. Y'all don't know if y'all want to live without us. Y'all don't know if y'all don't know what y'all want to do. Because if we live with y'all feel inferior to us, right? Y'all, I told y'all already, bluebirds don't fly with red birds, so it don't feel natural for all of us to be forced to live together. But y'all understand subconsciously that if we are alone for a long enough time, if we can go over there and y'all not have any interference with what we got going on, we will instantly surpass y'all. Education, wealth, all of that. We surpass y'all. So now you feel like, oh, we gotta stop that. We don't want to live with them, but we don't want them to surpass us. We don't want to rub shoulders with them, but we don't want them to build something bigger than us. I'm talking to him. I'm talking to him. Don't worry. It's pouring raining right now. I should show you, but I don't want to get off track. Eminent domain was the last straw where we were put into position. We were put into position where we have to integrate. We are forced now to live amongst because everything we built was destroyed. And I'm gonna go a little bit deeper after this receipt because, you know, you got to know something, man. Prestige comes with time. Prestige comes with time, homie. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Just let's look at this receipt. I want you to listen to this. I ain't saying it. I'm just giving you the game on it. The truth is the truth. Pure dope is pure dope. Big salute to the chat. Purple Beetle, salute that. Appreciate that 2-piece nugget. Highly appreciate that. Listen to this. Big salute to the chat. Run them lights up.
Lanier. It's a lake in Forsyth County, Georgia, where.
Whew, now I'm gonna let this young lady talk, right? Oscar County. Have you ever heard of it? Have you ever seen it on the map? Have you ever heard of Oscar County, Georgia? Well over 1,000 residents, a school, a church, grocery store, dozens of single-family homes, all owned by black people. You know how much wealth that would be in today's time? 2 young men were accused of rape. Now, we all know Emmett Till, you know, dog fur having Neanderthals been accusing black men of rape for hundreds of years now. These 2 teenagers was tried and convicted in 24 hours in the same day. They were tried for rape, they were convicted of rape, and they were convicted and they were sentenced to death in one day. After they were murdered, these 2 teenagers, a white militia went into Oscar County, Georgia, and began assassinating all the residents. Oscar County, Georgia went from over 1,000 residents in 1912 to 0 residents in 1920. So in 8 years, they had massacred or displaced every black person in that county. After they do that, they say, hey, let's put a lake here. Let's cover up the evidence. And they flood Oscar County, Georgia, and name the lake Lake Lanier. Now, white people, my Caucasian counterparts, think about how diabolical that is. Think about how disgusting that is. What your ancestors did. You know, I'm going to let this young lady talk because I'm going to go deeper into that. I want to go deeper into, you know, it's deeper than rap. It's always deeper than the surface. All right. So you already know here at Grown Man Business TV, you know, the game I'm going to give you just on this because it's deeper than them just killing those people. It's deeper than them just flooding out the lake. All right. Big salute to the chat. Run them lights up. Okay. I ain't going to stop her too much. But think about that. The first black college was in a black community. You know, the first black railroad and railroad union. All right. So we're going to talk about this. Imagine the wealth in that. Lake Martin in Alabama. Nasty work. It's absolutely diabolical. All right. Go ahead, sweetheart. Speak some more. Go ahead and talk to him. Now, let's talk about this. Because a lot of people think that it was just for down south and these. No, this was a United States America situation. This was a full-on higher up in the elites elimination, discrimination, manipulation. I mean, it's nasty work. Central Park in New York City might be one of the most wealthiest pieces of land in America. Central Park in New York City is one of the most prestigious and wealthiest pieces of land in America. And in Central Park, there were two black communities. Yorktown was one community, right? That was destroyed. Those people went to another community called Usitica Village. Central Park, Usitica Village, kind of sounds the same, right? That community was destroyed. That land was stolen so they can make a park where people can feed ducks and they can jog and they can walk and crimes can be committed and blah, 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 blah. Almost 200 black communities all over America had been erased off the map by gangs of white men, murderers, rapists. That's what those white men were doing. That's what they are. They are murderers and they are rapists. All right? Now, mind you, let's go deeper, right? These things happened in the early 1900s, 1920, 1930, things like that. So some of these things are just maybe right at 100 years old. Yeah, 95 years old is not that long ago. It's not that many generations. That's why I say your grandfathers or your great grandfathers were probably, yeah, they was doing some, yeah, they was into some things. It ain't that long ago. It ain't that long ago. But when you really look at these situations, right? The town in Alabama had the first black college and it had the first black railroad union, right? One thing I know that a lot of people don't really pay attention to is time and prestige. So these towns right now that started out as small towns, black counties, would be the size of Atlanta. They would be metropolis. They would be huge cities now. These small towns, you understand me, would have grown to Atlanta, Houston, Dallas. These small towns that our ancestors had started in the early 1900s, buildings, schools, would now have prestige. That black college, it would now be 100-year-old black college, generational wealth. Exactly. Let me give you an example of prestige. I don't want to lose y'all. I don't want this to go over your head or under your bridge, right? But I want to give y'all an example of prestige. So why do you think everybody or all the celebrities are so into the Grammys? Salute. Appreciate that, Purple Beetle. Yeah, appreciate that two-piece nugget. Find out everything you can about your creator. Yeah, that too. That too, right? Why do you think the Grammys, why do you think people and celebrities want a Grammy so bad? Let me tell you. When the Grammys come on, they make an effort to let you know that this is the 101 the 101st, right? Grammys award. This is, welcome to the 101st International National Grammy Awards, blah, 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 blah. The reason why the Grammy award is so prestigious is because the Grammy's been around for over 100 years. Time creates prestige. Time creates the value. So the reason why the Grammys are so wanted and sought after is because the Grammys have been doing this for 100 years. The reason why Atlanta, the reason why these other states, these counties, Macon, all these different counties now are what they are is because they've been running and growing for the last 100 years. So imagine if Usitica Village in New York City was not destroyed by a gang of white men. It'd be bigger than Chinatown. Usitica Village would be one of the 5 boroughs right now. It would be Brooklyn, Bronx, Utica Village, Harlem, and all of that. Manhattan and all that. You understand? You get my drift? Oxford County, Georgia. In 100 years, right now in 2025, it would be the size of Atlanta. It would have a whole downtown area. We would have started building skyscrapers, you know, the Industrial Revolution and all of that. Before these communities could grow into major cities, before these communities had a chance to engage in the Industrial Revolution in America with the steel and all of that happening, they were destroyed out of jealousy, out of hate. They were destroyed, my G, and turned into fucking lakes, as if we need any more lakes in America. As if we needed a Central Park for y'all to jog and walk your little poodles and your shih tzus and yeah. As if we needed another park, a dog park, for you and your dogs to encounter and engage with each other because y'all share the same DNA. As if we needed another one of those. So when y'all say or ask in my DM about reparations or what's owed to black people or why is this and why is that, well, you got to ask yourself, why did your ancestors burn down and destroy all these black communities? Now, after they destroyed all these communities, they started building, you know, they started building projects. Oh, we got all these displaced black people, you know, we burned down their communities. We took all of their homes. These single family homes that were built in the early 1900s would be worth a couple of $1 million today, each home. That college that they burned down, that black railroad that they burned down, all of that shit would be worth billions of dollars right now. Woo. Woo. Billions. Hundreds of billions of dollars today. She said there were dozens of single family homes. So you got to know something. In the early 1900s, we didn't have no project buildings. We didn't have no government assistance. We didn't have no welfare and food stamps and all that. We had black communities. They burned all that shit down and gave us project buildings out there in New York City with the pissy hallways and the pissy elevators and all that. They burned all that shit down, and in Virginia, they gave us parks. Tidewater Park, Oak Leaf Park, Diggs Park. Government assistant areas, and they shoved us in there, and they put us in projects, and they say, let's have a project. Let's put all these black people in these dirty-ass project buildings, and let's see what they do to each other. Let's put all these misplaced black people that once owned property, owned buildings, ran a whole county. Let's put them in these project buildings. Let's put drugs in there. Let's go ahead and put some coke in there. Let's put guns in there. Let's deprive them of good food and healthy eating, and let's see what they do to each other. Now we calling them savages when the whole time, my Caucasian counterparts, y'all are descendants of the real savages. Y'all are the offspring of the real savages. So now that we finding out about these towns, what we supposed to do about that? Imagine knowing that Utica Village was a black village in Central Park. You know how much it costs to get you know how much it costs to get an apartment looking over Central Park? You know how much it costs to get a condo looking over Central Park? You know how much it costs to get a penthouse looking over Central Park? I mean, millions of dollars just to look over this shit, just to look at it out your window. Imagine having land in Central Park. Imagine that being generational wealth passed down to you and your sisters and your brothers. Imagine how life-changing that would have been. Again, I tried not to tap into this part of it, but it's war. It's war. We asking, we want the reparations, we want the money, but if we don't get the money, I suggest that we give war. Big salute to the chat. Run them likes up. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Where you at? Well, I want to make sure I give it to you. Flig. Now, I don't know, man. It's something about people. Flig. I guess that's your name or what your title is. You know, people that don't have profile pictures and they have like weird names. It screams inferior to me, right? But because you're in the chat, let's say, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I understand that this shit should have already happened a long time ago, right? You know, when the higher ups and the elites understood that certain men was thinking like this, they started eliminating the threat. Black Panthers, Malcolm X, and they propped up Martin Luther King, right? Now, nobody's stopping us. You're exactly right. Nobody's really stopping us from going to war or taking war. But what happens is, with age and wisdom is knowledge, right? And on my last live stream, what I explained to y'all is that at this point, we now know and we understand that the war between white and black is only a ploy and a trick by the higher ups and the elites to take everybody out. A war with a race war, right, is only a trick and a ploy for the higher ups and the elites to implement martial law, for the higher ups and the elites to implement a one world order that they so badly need before 2030. They so badly want before 2030 because these reptilians and a lot of people at the top, a lot of these animalistic, right, mankind, they're being pushed. They want out of this realm. They want out of this. It's getting too hot down here. The sins of their ancestors are coming back to, they feel the heat of the sins of their ancestors, people that was doing stuff just like this. So me telling my people and me as a war general leading the people that fall under my voice to war with y'all is just like Martin Luther King leading his people into a burning house. Let me tell you something. Let me give y'all some game. Big salute to the chat. A lot of the things that you want in this life are not what you need in this life. As men, that's why you start to build discernment. You start to build patience. You start to build something called discipline. Because if you are not disciplined, you will fall for the trick of what you want. Yeah, a lot of us we want to do something about what y'all did with that land. We want to do something about all the history that we know. But that's not what we need right now. What we need is discipline. We need more patience. We need to let y'all jump off the bridge if that's what you want to do. But us taking y'all to war is only allowing the higher ups and the elites who don't care about us and don't care about y'all an opportunity to submit everybody. And we ain't going for submission. We ain't going for submission. Obviously, y'all know that. Y'all can see that. We're not going for submission. You feel me? So I wanted to put that out there. That's the easy way out. Think about what I'm saying to you. Anything that is easy You need to look at it sideways. You need to hold your horses. You need to pump your brakes. That was too easy. Hold on. When you put the cheese out there to the rat saying the shit too easy. You eat the cheese, your ass eat rat poison. You out of here. What's the hard way to take this? It's hard to look at and listen to this history and listen to this information and know what y'all did to our ancestors and still not do nothing to y'all. It's hard. It take discipline to know what your ancestors did, knowing we can ride on y'all and not ride on y'all. That's why we're going to continue to elevate. All right? So, coulda, woulda, shoulda, yeah, you probably right about that. Ain't nobody stop. It's the same reason why ain't nobody stopping you from saying the N-word. White people, it ain't nobody stopping you from saying nigga. You stop yourself from saying it. Ain't nobody stopping you from saying the N-word. You do it. So the same way you say shoulda, I can say, yo, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I mean, nobody stopping you from saying, but why won't you say it? Yeah, too integrated. We are too integrated. We are at a position where anything that we do is infiltrated by the enemy because we have no infrastructure. See, these black people with these towns and these counties, they had an infrastructure. There were meetings. There were meetings being held in these black counties by black men that white people did not know about. There were black men in these counties that were meeting up, having conversations about growing, expanding, metropolis, enterprise, war. And one of the most things that white people fear is not knowing what we talking about, not knowing what we thinking. Because if they don't know what we thinking, they automatically go to retribution. They automatically go to payback. If Caucasian people don't know what we was thinking for the last 6 months, they instantly say they're plotting a payback. We got to stop them. We could just be talking about money. We could be talking about family. Because of the disgusting history of America, y'all instantly think that it's payback time. Now, I want to make sure y'all understand that what goes around comes around. There's no denying that. There's no running from that. You can't stop that. Being as though we are connected to the cosmos, we don't have to give you the payback. The payback is happening as we speak. It's getting hotter every day. Big salute to the chat, man. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing at using this technology the right way. We not about to talk. I don't care. I'm disgusted. Let me say something about that. The fact that 50 Cent is worth millions of dollars. 50 Cent he's a Jamaican, if you ask. I don't even know if, I don't know if he's black and I don't know. Don't matter, right? He represents black people. And it's just so diabolical and it's disgusting. It's embarrassing. And you got to understand that the people at the top is looking at 50. And yeah, nigga, you either gonna rap, you gonna dance, you gonna jump, you gonna sing, you gonna entertain. Or your ass gonna act goofy. Grown ass men talking about if this man's 60 years old. Benzino is 60 years old. And we talking about, is he a rat or is he not a rat? Just imagine if all these millionaires we got was focused and really just wanted to take over this shit, really wanted to step into the real position. It's deeper than having money. You having money in America don't make you nothing more than a nigga. You heard what Gilly just was talking about, Gilly the Kid and all that. And I got some things I want to, I ain't gonna lie to you. Hold on, let me see something. Big salute to the chat. Gilly the Kid and Wallow, these dudes are the Martin Luther Kings, bro. These dudes, 50 Cent, these dudes are the Martin Luther Kings. These dudes are the puppets being used by the higher ups and the elites. You know? Let me see something real quick. I want to see if I got this for y'all. Big salute to the chat. We're not going to stay long. Just wanted to lock y'all in. You know what I'm saying? Drop some game. See if we got this. We do got it, actually. Right. Now, I want to show y'all, before we get out of here, right, the type of men we are dealing with. I talked about Wallow recently, and I'm going to show y'all something with Wallow. Now, Wallow is the so-called motivational speaker. Wallow is this black guy that went to jail, and he came out of jail, and now we should listen to Wallow, and Wallow's talking and blah, 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 with $1 million worth of this and $1 million worth of that. But these are the men they have and they give us to represent the community. Real revolutionaries don't get the money. Real revolutionaries don't get in positions like Wallow. Now, I want to show y'all something with Wallow. I wasn't surprised when I saw it. I wasn't surprised when it came across my desk. But I made an effort to show you the difference between a grown man business TV, a real revolutionary, a Nip Hustle, a Tupac, a G&B TV, and the difference between us and a Wallow. I want y'all to explain to me what Wallow got going on here. Big salute to the chat. Run them likes up. Watch this.
A longer erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change. They work in 15. You want a thicker, a longer erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change. They work in 15. You want a thicker, a longer erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You want erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. Erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You want a thicker, a longer erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You want a thicker, a longer erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change. They work in 15. You want a thicker, a longer erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change. They work in 15. You want a thicker, a longer erection, Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change. They work in 15. You want a thicker, a longer erection.
Damn, homie. In high school, you was the man, homie. What the fuck happened to you? They had Martin Luther King rolling around with dogs and getting up with fleas. They had Martin Luther King rolling around with that dog fur. You know, that dog fur smell like Sassoon shampoo and Newport 100s straight to that fur. And now they got Wallow talking about you want a thicker, you want a longer erection and all. Pause. They got Wallow talking about thicker and longer erect. So you got $1 million worth of game, and now they got you on these commercials talking about erections and all that. How much they pay you to get your ass up on this commercial? Yeah, you. It's a big difference. You got to be able to separate the two. You want to give us $1 million worth of game? Why you ain't told us about these towns and all that? Why you ain't told us about them bombings that took place in Philadelphia? You know, you from Philly. Why you ain't told us about that when the U.S. government was dropping bombs on Philadelphia, dropping bombs on black communities right there in Philly? Why you don't talk about that? Instead, you up here talking about thicker and longer erections and all that. You talking about eggplants and cocks and all of that. This is the game. This is what's happening. 50 Cent, Ben, all these dudes is puppets. All these dudes are Martin Luther King Jr.'s. All these dudes are committing treason on the black community. Look.
Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change. They work in 15. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change.
You're gonna be standing like a statue. Boy, who the fuck wrote those? Who told you to talk like that? Wallow. We don't want your game, homie. Keep your game, homie. Keep your game. Because when you got to know something. I'm a land the plane with this. When we had these black communities, when we were protected with our own infrastructure, it was easy to weed out dudes like Wallow. We could weed out the suckers, the dudes like 50 Cent, the Gillies. We could weed these dudes out. And the real soldiers, the real war generals were able to have a say-so. As soon as they burned down our little towns, as soon as they burned down our cities, our counties, and they flooded them out, and they missed, now we don't know who to look at. Anybody they put in front of us is a puppet. Anybody that you notice you being kind of led to look at, you being led to listen to, these dudes are puppets. And it ain't gonna take long for them to show you. They're gonna go from $1 million worth of game to Rose Sparks telling you about a meaner, stiffer erection. You gonna stand up like a statue. He talking about erections and all that. I built this channel organically. This ain't some information that was forced on you. You got to know, Grown Man Business TV, if you have run across this channel, then yeah, you might be in line with the cosmos and all that. The algorithm ain't going to force me on you because of the game I'm giving you. But Gilly, look.
They work in 15. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life. You want a thicker, a longer erection? Rose Sparks is here for you. You're going to be standing like a statue. I'm telling you, life is going to change.
You're going to be standing like a statue, so your life is going to change. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. When you get into this pure dope straight off the brick into the bottles, your life is going to change. When you start realizing your purpose, your life is going to change. When you start getting discipline, discernment, you start having patience with yourself, that's when your life is going to change. Discipline. Sex pills that ain't going to change your life, little homie. He lying to you. Who making these sex pills? The high, some billionaire, some Jewish white guy, somebody that don't look nothing like Wallow is making these pills and using Wallow to promote these sex pills to you. Yeah, your life is gonna man, shut your milk dud head ass up with your goddamn milk dud head. I would love to have a conversation with you, Wallow. I know for a fact y'all don't want to have a conversation with Grown Man Business TV. You talking about thicker, harder erections and all of that. The fuck is you talking about? Didn't you just get out of prison? Didn't you just do 25 years in prison, Wallow? Why is you talking about thicker, harder erections and all of that? Why is you doing that? With that being said, it is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. Aboriginal Man, I see you in the chat. The channel is Grown Man Business TV. Why wouldn't you want to have a conversation with a grown-ass man? Oh, my bad. Because y'all laying down with teenage girls. Y'all don't want to have a conversation with a grown-ass man because a grown-ass man is going to ask you the real questions. Why is you talking about thicker and harder erections, homie? He ain't gonna do you like that. Boys, put your ass out there, let play your ass again, brother. You let your ass want to talk that talk. Segregation is the key. We really gotta figure out, and we really gotta home in on all that land that was stolen. We need our black cities back. We need our black communities back. Don't ever think that you pour it into the black community, because it ain't a place in America that's a black community. They burned them all down. They flooded them all out, turned them to lakes and national parks. We don't have no black community. With that being said, you already know what time it is, man. It's your boy, Grown Man Business TV. Feel what I'm saying? Listen, man, you can tap in and you can tap out, but you know my slogan, and you do know what I suggest, and I suggest you tap in. I suggest you tap into this grown man business. I suggest you tap into this grown man content at all times. You already know what it is. Straight off the bricks into the bottles. Straight off the bricks into the bottles. Straight raw, pure, uncut, no extras, no preservatives. We not sugarcoat nothing, and we not dressing nothing up. I'm going to give you this straight dope, pure, straight off the brick into the bottles, raw. No baking soda, no quinine, no fentanyl, no extras. We ain't putting it in a pot. I don't need a Pyrex. We not water whipping it, and we not counter whipping it. Straight off the brick into the bottles. To all the white people, to all my Caucasian counterparts, hit that little red button and pull it back, and you'll see exactly what we was doing. Exactly what your people lied to you about. Pull that little red button, pull it back, and you will see exactly why reparations are mandatory. Because you guys got that animalistic instinct, I think y'all want war. Y'all would rather us take everybody out. Y'all would rather us take y'all to war before y'all are held accountable, before y'all pay back what's due. And maybe you'll get your wish. Maybe in due time, you'll get your wish. We were exceeding, we were elevating, we were on a higher frequency than y'all. All the way to the point where you got jealous. You wanted war. You wanted to fight. We didn't even understand what y'all worried about. We ex-slaves. Let us build our shit. Y'all got the government was helping y'all go to war with us. With that being said, you already know what time it is. Big salute to the chat. FBA Cushboy 420. Appreciate you in the chat, man. Yeah, let them guns go. Don't hold. I don't tell my shooters what to do. They shoot first and they ask questions last. Stay out my DM asking to be reunited. No, watch from the back of the class. Close your mouth and open your ears and prepare yourself for the purest dope on YouTube. We liable to go back live tonight. We might have some fun tonight. But before we have fun, the pure dope has to be delivered. The downloads have downloaded. So make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure it's ringing, because we probably going to double back tonight. All right? Who knows what we'll talk about? Maybe we'll talk about the dog fur. Maybe we might talk about one of these celebrities. Who knows? But make sure that notification bell is up and ringing. We turning up. We going to turn back up tonight. Yeah, hey, Kush boy, we going live again tonight. We going live again tonight, and we going live tomorrow, but we going live again. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. Big salute to the chat, man. Exactly. Tracy Bradford, I'm going to address you because I see you in the chat. I said that already. I know y'all are not at war. Y'all ain't at war with us. What you got to understand is the government want us to go to war. They really want to implement a one world order. They really want to put us in position to try to take our guns. And what they need to do is for us to go to war with each other over whatever, right? So that they can implement martial law. I might talk about that in a whole nother live stream. Martial law with foreign army men, foreign military people that have no connection to us, to come into our cities and our neighborhoods and our homes and take these guns. So you got to know something. When you can see through the smoke and mirrors, when you are one of the chosen one, You're not going to just come out here and say, let's go to war. Let's divide. No, we need our own area. We do need that. We do need our own communities, our own thinking pots. We need to own everything. But at the same time, shit, you ain't the enemy. The higher ups in the elite is the enemy. The higher ups and the elites are the enemies. The reptilians. The people that's sitting so high up, they look down on us and they say, I hope those black people and those white people go to war so I could submit everybody. I hope they go to war so I could swoop in and I can make everybody get down or lay down. And if you lay down, you're going to stay down. But we don't care if you black or you white. We don't give a fuck what color you are. The one world order is all that matters. The higher ups and elites are all that matters. So white, black, or indifferent, if y'all give us a chance, the triple cross will be, yeah, so I ain't talking like that. Salute to all my white people out there. Do what you do. We need to be able to do what we do. Let's not look at each other. Let's look up. It's time to stop looking at each other and it's time to look up. It's time to look up, baby. When the war's on, we need to be looking up. With that being said, you already know what time it is, man. It's your boy, Grown Man Business TV. You feel what I'm saying? Now, you already know you could tap in or you could tap out. But you know my slogan. You know what I suggest. And I suggest you tap in. Gang.